think this works with multiple people to do it.
Okay, we are live.
All right. 5:30 having arrived, I would like to call the Finance and Personnel Committee to order on Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. So I'll take a roll call at this time.
Okay. I just want to check and see if all the tax is virtual, yes?
This is funky, yeah. Just click on the Zoom. Just click. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris got it.
Then go there. Yeah.
So, okay, so right now we have Alder West, that is our chair.
Present.
Alder P, not present at the moment. Alder Horton,
Here.
who is virtual, and Alder Tate the second.
Present.
And we're still waiting for Alder Taft, who will also be virtual. That completes our roll call at this time.
All right, thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes for May 9th, 2022 meeting. Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by President Tate and seconded by Alder Horton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right.
Great. We're gonna actually go through the first 7 items with the chair's permission. I'm going to read them all in an expeditious fashion because they're very long. They're all doing kind of the same thing. Commissioner Rooney is here to speak on the items. And then we'll go back and I'll read the item number and you can vote on each item as we go. Okay, we're just trying to be expeditious this evening as we have a lot of items. Item 0400-22, communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Commissioner of Public Works, requesting permission to apply for an STP grant for the reconstruction of Ohio Street, Washington Avenue to Graceland, grant control number 005458. Staff recommendation that the Commissioner be granted permission to apply for the grant. Fiscal note, the grant is estimated in the amount of $2.7 million with a required match of $875,520, which will be funded through the appropriation of the 2023 through 32 capital improvement program. Local match portion also includes non-participatory items. Item number 0396-22, communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Commissioner requesting to apply for an STP grant through the state of Wisconsin for the rehabilitation of South Memorial Drive, Durand to South 17th Street. Staff recommendation that the Commissioner of Public Works be granted permission to apply. Fiscal note, the grant is estimated in the amount of $1,675,600 with a required match of $500,000, again to be funded through the appropriation of the 10-year capital improvement plan. Item number 0393-22, communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Commissioner of Public Works, was requesting permission to apply for an STP program grant for the reconstruction of Gould Street, Lake Avenue to Douglas. Staff recommendation that the Commissioner be granted permission to apply. Fiscal note, the grant in the amount of approximately $860,000 with a required city match of $425,000, again to be appropriated through the capital improvement plan. Item number 0395-22, communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Commissioner requesting permission to apply for an STP BIL program fund grant for the reconstruction of Lathrop Avenue Republic to 13th. Staff recommendation that the Commissioner of Public Works be granted permission to apply. Fiscal note, the grant in the amount of $2,710,000 with a required match of $1,250,000, which will be funded again through the 10-year capital improvement plan. Item number 0394-22, communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the Commissioner requesting permission to apply for an STP program fund grant for the reconstruction of Mount Pleasant Street, Rapids Drive to Romaine. Staff recommendation that the Commissioner of Public Works be granted permission to apply. Grant is estimated in the amount of $1.5 million with a required city match of $575,000 to be funded through the 10-year capital improvement plan. Item number 0381-22, communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the commissioner requesting permission to apply for a BIL local bridge program grant for the rehabilitation of 6th Street Bridge B51067 over House Street. Staff recommendation that the Commissioner of Public Works be granted permission to apply. Fiscal note, the grant in the amount of, there's a little typo here, so I'm going to correct it now and we'll correct it later when you guys vote as well. The grant is in the amount of $320,000 with a required city match of $80,000, which will be funded through the appropriation of the capital improvement plan. Item number 0382-22, communication sponsored by Alder Jones on behalf of the commissioner requesting permission to apply for the BIL local bridge program for the rehabilitation of the 6th Street Bridge over Root River between Mound and Racine Street. Staff recommendation that the Commissioner of Public Works be granted permission to apply. Fiscal note, the grant is in the amount of $1.2 million. Again, a little typo here. The grant is in the amount of $1.2 million with a required city match of $300,000, which will be funded through an appropriation in the 10-year capital improvement plan. Those are all 7 items Commissioner Rooney will be speaking about right now.
Thanks, Kathleen. Thank you, Chairman West and Finance Personnel Committee members, Mayor. So distribute a little pie chart in front of you. I just want to speak to what the bill is all about, what it means for the city of Racine. So bill funding came out. Nobody knew much about it. Came up in late January when everybody was scrambling to put together a program. DOT has been working tirelessly through the spring to start getting the application materials ready for funding, and lo and behold, they want them in by June 3rd, which is Friday. So we've been working fiercely to put some applications together. We were actually contacted by Wisconsin DOT Southeast Region and SewerPac to be aggressive and get funding applications in. They know the history that we have with the State Department of Transportation, and a lot of success we have in doing these types of projects. So they encourage us to do so and become a willing partner. All the projects that we applied for are in our 10-year CIP. We have to pay for them in some way, shape, or form. What Bill did is injected a lot of money in the local program portion of Wisconsin DOT's budget. So the programs that we generally take advantage of that aren't entitlement programs are SCP funds, which are all the streets that are in front of you. That's Surface Transportation Program, and the local bridge program. That's what's paying for the West 6th Street Bridge right now, and would also pay for Memorial Drive Bridge 2 years ago at an 80-20 split. Generally, those funds are limited. They're very competitive. You can apply for them. Don't necessarily get the money. Sometimes they are pooled in certain areas. There's only an allocation for it. And sometimes the municipality doesn't get it and the other municipality does, or the county does. There is a huge opportunity to go for funding here. The funding application cycle is 2023 to 2026. It's just a cycle. Doesn't mean all these projects need to be built in those 4 years. The bridge project we're working on West 6th Street, we applied for that engineering monies in 2013. So it's just a cycle that we're applying for. The projects that we are applying for still have to meet the requirements that they always have to meet for these types of funding programs. So the roads have to be classified as collectors or arterials. The bridges have to have certain sufficiency ratings that they fall below to be eligible for funding. So we can't simply just throw any road into the project. One thing the opportunity I think allows us to, if we're successful in the funding, it then would open up potentially a lot of GOB funding to maybe go after some of the local paving projects in some of the neighborhoods to get these funds. In total, the projects for the 5 roads and the 2 bridges is about $15 million, with the DOT share that they're getting through the federal government program, about $11 million. If we were to do these on our own, without any help from the DOT, with the exception of some entitlement funds that we can get every other year through LRIP, Local Road Improvement Program. And we anticipated getting some bridge monies for the Sixth Street Bridge that's over Root River between Mount and Racine. We are estimating we would have got about 1.15 million, and it would have cost the city just under 10 million to fund the same project. So again, we have to do these projects, they're in our programs, infrastructure we take care of. If we're successful with these applications, we will bring them back to Finance Personnel Committee to accept the funding. And if that happens, then we'll appropriate the funds in the 10-year CIP budget process this fall.
Mr. Rooney? Any questions at this time?
This generated, this is a lot of state money has become available, and this affords us the opportunity to go get some of that state funding to help pay for these capital projects.
Yeah, this is the bill's bipartisan infrastructure law passed by Congress, and these are the allotments that have been distributed to all the state departments of transportation across the country, and it's been loaded up, and there's monies available. Yeah.
So I heard you say that these roads or these particular projects are identified, they're already in the CIP. Is this all of the projects that were included in the CIP that would have qualified? Or did we pare down which ones we would want to apply for? And what was the criteria?
No, these were not all the projects that were identified and put in the 10-year CIP. That's all of our paving. These are the ones, and when we do get a project that we know we're gonna get state funding, we generally drag that out of just kind of regular concrete paving or asphalt paving, and we identify it on a separate line item, like Gould Street going on right now, and there'll be a local match and a state match. So we picked out the ones that are federal aid urban eligible, and that's what we put in for the applications.
That was one of my questions.
Yeah.
Are all the ones that we identified, the ones that were qualified or to pare down our selection?
Correct. Those are the ones, those are the big transportation item projects that we would have tried to apply for had there not been bill funding, probably been met with limited success just because there's just, prior to bill, there's just a limited amount of funding in each one of these programs.
Are there any projects, regardless of scale, that would have potentially qualified that we didn't include in this particular tranche?
No, these are the major project items. We try to balance these out and not do too many in the same year. So these are the ones that we identified. There's still OURA funds available that we can augment. Those aren't part of the bill. That's entitlement funding. We get that every other year. We simply put in the application, and it's based on population. So, and then the other projects that we put in there are the DOT funded projects that are connecting highways. Completely different pot of money than the local program.
And, if we were awarded these, what's the timeline on which we would have to kind of execute these projects? Or is it?
Like I said, it's just the 2023, 2026, it's just the application period. They'll have another application period issued in a few years. The period, usually these projects can be on the high side, anywhere from 5 to 7 years, for maybe like a bridge project that's more complex, a more simple or less complex project, maybe 3 to 4. This also will include engineering, the WISDOT funded projects. And there's also, with the federal money, is a quid pro quo to do archaeological, environmental, real estate. So there's extra costs involved in that as well. That stretches us out a little bit. But I would anticipate if we were funded in these, we'd have all these projects completed, I would hope, within the next 8 years.
Okay. Part of the reason I asked is, somebody's watching, oh my God, they're gonna reconstruct the entire city almost. We're already dealing with so much, make sure people understand that this isn't gonna happen all at once, it's actually gonna happen over a fairly lengthy period of time, if it happens with these particular funds. So thank you.
Thank you. President Tate, I'll entertain any other questions at this time. Seeing none, if we can go down the list to.
I will read each item number, and then if you would do a motion second vote on that.
So what is the breakdown of the match? Because it looks like it's almost 4-to-1. Is there a particular?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the bridge projects are really easy. Those are pretty much 80-20 splits. So are the other ones for all intents and purposes, but what you'll see that it kind of makes the funding match not look like it's 80-20 is they also ask in the application, what are the other funding obligations that you have that are non-participating? So sanitary sewer,
Okay.
real estate, storm sewer. So anything that has to be paid for on local funds, and we have enterprise funds that cover stormwater, we've got special revenue funds that cover for, we also have the local GOV match as well. So we roll those all in there, and that's why it looks not quite like we're getting an 80-20 match, because the non-participating items are included in the funding application.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Tate.
Ready?
Proceed.
Okay, first item 0400-22. This is the application for the reconstruction of Ohio Street, Washington to Graceland. Staff recommendation is to permission to apply.
I move to approve the application.
second,
All right. Seconded by Alder Horton and first by President Tate. At this time, we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
aye,
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 0396-22, this is to apply for rehabilitation of South Memorial Drive, Durant to 17th Street. Staff recommendation is to grant permission to apply.
To approve the recommendation.
second,
Moved by President Tate and seconded by Alder Horton. All those in favor say aye.
aye,
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 0392-22, this is permission to apply for reconstruction of Gould Street, Blake Avenue to Douglas. Staff recommendation is permission to grant it to apply.
Move to grant permission to apply.
Second.
second,
Moved by President Tate, seconded by Vice Chair. All those in favor say aye.
aye,
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item 0395-22, requesting permission to apply for reconstruction of Lathrop Avenue Republic to 13th Street. Staff recommendation is that Commissioner be granted permission to apply.
Move to grant permission to apply.
Second.
second,
Nice. Alder Horton. Moved by President Tate and seconded by Alder Horton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
aye,
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 0394-22, requesting permission to apply for reconstruction of Mount Pleasant Street, Rapids to Romaine. I already said that one wrong, sorry.
Move to grant permission to apply.
Second. All right, moved by President Tate, seconded by the Vice Chair. All those in favor say aye.
aye,
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Number 0381-22, requesting permission to apply for rehabilitation of Sixth Street Bridge. Staff recommendation is to permission granted to apply.
Move to grant permission to apply.
second,
Moved by President Tate, seconded by Alder Horton. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
aye,
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 0382-22, requesting permission to apply for rehabilitation of Sixth Street Bridge over Root River to Mound Avenue. Staff recommendation, grant permission to apply.
Move to grant permission to apply.
Second. Moved by President Tate and seconded by Vice Chair. All those in favor say aye.
aye,
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Excellent. Next item on the agenda, 0403-22, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason on behalf of the Commissioner of Public Works, requesting authorization to waive formal bidding procedures for the purchase and installation of streetlights and associated equipment in various locations in the city, and to amend the capital improvement budget to reclassify the funding appropriately. Staff recommendation that the Commissioner of Public Works be authorized to waive formal bidding procedures for the purchase and installation of streetlights and associated equipment in various locations in the city in an amount not to exceed $500,000, and that the purchasing agent be directed to procure these services and equipment as necessary. Also, that the general obligation capital improvement fund be amended to reallocate $500,000 from a transfer to internal service to street lighting. Fiscal note, funding to defray the cost of up to $500,000 based on the amendment above will be available in org object 450457520, DPW street lighting. Budget amendment will reduce the budget in 45010599700, transfer to internal service by 500,000 and increase the budget in 450405750, DPW street lighting. Commissioner of Public Works is here to speak on the item, as well as Administrator Vornholt is here to speak on the item.
Paul, would you want to start?
I actually defer to the mayor, so I introduce the subject.
Sure.
Okay.
If it pleases the chair.
Yep, yeah.
This is in response to what we've certainly been hearing in the community around street lighting generally, but with the increasing number of shots fired that we've seen this year. I believe, according to Assistant Chief Ramirez, over a 40% increase over last year and a 90% of shootings that we've seen this year and the high number of murders we've seen already this year. The idea was to take the data that we could learn from where shots are fired and overlay that with data that DPW would have in terms of where there's deficiencies of lighting and use those two data sets together to increase our public street lighting in those specific areas up to the amount of $500,000 in an effort to improve public safety. So that's the intention behind it. And I would certainly refer to the commissioner or the city administrator if you feel like we need to add more context there or answer any questions people might have.
Mayor,
No, this was brought to our attention by the mayor, so we're prepared to work with MIS and the police department to get these kind of two layers to overlay with each other so we can find those areas of infrastructure deficiencies and see where we can best do this. And MIS can assist us in looking at some smart city type of lighting as well that would work with this type of issue as well. So we're looking at that. We'll move forward as directed if approved.
all right, thank you. At this time, I'll entertain any questions or comments. President Lee, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Commissioner Rudy, we've had many discussions about street lighting over the last year, particularly when I was Chair of Public Works. Yeah, and I know we've discussed, the application of street lighting and, the general purposes, but also the unique purposes that are associated with public safety at times. Do you feel we have sufficient data to indicate where the deficiencies are? Do those deficiencies kind of reflect our previous conversations about street lighting concerns from several years ago?
Well, I'd say they're actually, it's a great question. They're actually two different things. So the data that we had before, and we developed a policy on street lighting and Public Works and Services Committee and Common Council adopted it. And you were the chair of that committee. And that was strictly based on a warrant on lighting and all the warrants that are associated with lighting. So that's about spacing, roadway width, traffic volumes, traffic accidents, all that type of metrics and data are put in there. So when we get a request now, we simply go to that warrant checklist, if you will, check the box and then add up the scores and see if it warrants a light or not. So that's what that does. This really introduces a whole new data set that isn't included in that. Now, we maybe on the future want to think about revisiting that and see how we could incorporate it's called shot spot data. Is that correct terminology?
Some sort of alert system or
Where-
ShotSpotter is a company, but it's a different program that we use that alert when a shot is being fired. But that's the same concept.
Yeah, so I think to that, to Assistant Chief saying, so you maybe take, again, we're not there yet, you take that data, let's say, and that's maybe a warrant that now we're folding in with the existing policy. So if, or maybe just use it a crash area because of insufficient lighting, is it really a areas that is, unfortunately, there's a lot of gunfire in it, and that's an area that can be incorporated, then we can see where we have those efficiencies, and then go through the same exact analysis and process. Do we have street lighting infrastructure there, or do we not? So we do expand ours, we'll look at the energies to tap off of there, so, but it's a good question.
I guess my other question then would be, for many of the residential streets, it is a weak energy light installed there or requested to be there. So in this instance, would we be installing new lighting that comes with the transformers, underground infrastructure that would be city owned, especially our residential APM? There's indications that we're not using smart technology, which would suggest that that's not, that wouldn't be a weak energy light. so can you speak to that?
Well, that's part of the data crunching that we'll be doing very quickly with MIS to try to see what that, right fit is. Because there are some areas in the city where we're just devoid of all city-owned street lighting infrastructure. That's just a fact, and that's where it's not cost effective for us to put in new circuits unless we want to do a holistic approach to it. So I think with the data that we get from MIS overlaid with our GIS layers of street lighting infrastructure, and we have We Energies infrastructure on our GIS layer, we'll have a pretty clear picture moving forward with what it is that we have to do, then find the appropriate type of infrastructure installation, and then we figure it out from there, and then we get as many as we can in, and I think it'll be with the guidance of the police department, where they want to concentrate, these installations, there are several dots in those maps, some big, some small, some close together, some spaced apart. They're the experts on where this is most needed. I think we'll figure out from them how we can get it done once we all get together in the same room and work towards that end.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rooney and President Tate. Any other questions at this time? Seeing none, I would like to approve item 0403-22.
Second.
All right, moved by the Vice Chair and seconded by President Tate. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 0375-22, communication sponsored by Alder Taft on behalf of the mayor and the city clerk, requesting permission to sole source a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options to renew. Contract 2022067 with Tyler Technologies for enterprise resource planning software and supporting components. Staff recommendation that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute and sign a sole source contract with Tyler Technologies. Fiscal note, this is a 3-year contract with a 2 one-year options to renew. Total cost for the 2022 renewal is $141,302. Funds are available in account 701135450 for fiscal year 2022. Cost for subsequent years will be appropriated during the annual budget process. Megan Duncic from the Information Systems Department is here to speak on the item.
Thank you. Megan, proceed.
Basically, what we are doing is we're taking our annual renewal and rolling it into a multi-year contract. This is not new software. We've had the software implemented since 2014, and it's pretty heavily ingrained to every department that the city has. So for convenience and budgeting purposes, we're just rolling it into a multi-year contract.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments at this time? President Tate.
Are there any savings associated with a multi-year contract versus a year contract?
No, not so much a savings for a multi-year. It'd be what we would pay moving forward,
That's fine.
even if it's an annual renewal. We tried. It's a big company, so we're small fish.
Sorry, I'm done. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, President Tate. Any other questions or concerns at this time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for item 0375-22. Move to approve.
Second.
All right, moved by the Vice Chair and seconded by President Tate. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those- All right, all those opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 0401-22, communication sponsored by Alder Taft on behalf of the mayor and city clerk, requesting the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the Wisconsin Emergency Management State Urban Search and Rescue Response Team contract for the period July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2024. Staff recommendation that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the agreement. Fiscal note, the city will receive funding from the state to cover the cost of equipment, supplies, and overtime associated with maintaining the team as a regional state asset, similar to our regional hazmat materials contract. Chief Hansen is here to speak on the item.
Please proceed.
Mayor Mason, Vice Chair West, President Tate, members of the Finance Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this. This is a urban search and rescue task force that is being put together by the state of Wisconsin. We've been asked if we would participate in this task force, similar to the hazmat task force that we're now currently part of. This part of the task force focuses on things like collapse rescue, trench rescue, high and low angle rescue, water rescue, the other disciplines that are outside of hazmat. This, as a state asset, we could potentially go anywhere in southeast Wisconsin, similar to what we do with the hazmat team right now. So the beauty of this particular contract is it's going to help us provide some very high level training to the members of our department and task force. Plus, we also get reimbursement from the state for various things. So when we send people out for training, the state's going to reimburse us for $55 an hour for that training. We need additional equipment to be more effective as a urban search and rescue team. The state's going to provide funding for us to acquire a major part of the additional equipment we're going to need to provide that service. Task Force 1 is authorized under state statute. We have reimbursement costs that we'll receive from the state. We have response costs if we go out and provide stuff, services, or if we do it locally, we're going to get reimbursed from the state for it as a state asset. I think what's important for the committee here to understand is things like what happens in terms of duty disability. If we have an individual that's injured during a deployment under the state contract, the duty disability increase in premiums would be covered by the state. So I know Ms. Fisher knows about the duty disability part of the pension. There's a factor that's added for the number of duty disabilities that we have in the city. If we should happen to incur that type of an injury where somebody is put off on duty disability, the state's going to cover that part of that cost. So it would relieve the city of that cost. In addition, if we go out on a deployment, the state is going to provide the worker compensation insurance for those individuals. Should they be injured, workers' comp will be provided by the state of Wisconsin, which means it won't come out of our pockets locally. We've been meeting on this with the state since earlier this year. This contract is the fruition of those meetings. And I do have Battalion Chief Mike Garmo here with me this evening in the event that you have any specific questions about the task force and associated disciplines.
At this time, I'll entertain any questions or concerns.
Since the invitation was made, wants to speak to some of the disciplines that are going to be required of our firefighters and rescue operators as part of the team.
So I'll just speak briefly that when we talk about technical rescue, as the chief stated, we're talking about, it could be confined space rescue, trench rescue, higher low angle rope rescue, and building collapse. So we currently have members of our department trained at various levels. We're looking to build on those skills. Technical rescue calls do not happen with the same frequency of fires and medical emergencies, but when they do happen, they're low frequency, but they're very high risk. They're also very, it requires a lot of staffing with specialized training. So this arrangement actually provides us with a good pipeline to training and also, some protections or reimbursement back to us for participation in it. And with the strain on emergency services at the local and regional level, this is another opportunity for us to collaborate with other agencies and find that collective goal of public safety.
When you think of the urban search and rescue, think in terms of things like tornadoes, windstorms, flooding that this community has experienced historically. This gives us that higher level of skill and training to be able to deal with those locally and share that with the region should that happen. If that makes sense.
About how many of our folks will be kind of moved into this pipeline, part of this?
So currently we have about 26 members locally within the Racine Fire Department that are participating in our technical rescue team. We anticipate that we might have 4 to 6 members that would then go on to participate in the task force. But again, all the training that those members receive comes back to our team because it's shared with the rest of the team.
Thank you.
President Tate, any other questions or concerns at this time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second. Moved by Alder Horton, seconded by the Vice Chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried.
Late eye, sorry.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Item number 0399-22, communication sponsored by Alder Taft on behalf of the Chief of Police requesting permission to apply for and accept the TAPS Academy grant. Staff recommendation that the Chief of Police be authorized to apply for the grant and accept the TAPS Academy grant. Fiscal note grant amount is $66,000. No city match is required. Assistant Chief Ramirez is here to speak on the item.
Good evening. I get to also bring someone else. so. But just to, thanks for having me. This grant is a TAPS Academy grant, 2-year type of grant. It covers overtime, compensatory base wages for current police youth engagement efforts to include receive police cadets and cop house caretakers. There's a program that Sergeant James Pettis has here. He can speak about it, answer any questions about it. It's an 11-week curriculum that works with that this youth. I think it's James Pettis was the author of the grant for writing it. So bring him up here as well.
Yes, and please
All right. Just like Assistant Chief Ramirez says, again, thank y'all for having me. Just like Assistant Chief Ramirez noted, it's a $66,000 request, which we will receive verbal confirmation on receipt for over 2 years. It is to fund overtime, compensatory time, and regular time that our officers will spend in youth engagement within the infrastructures currently in place, including our police cadets program, which we have 7 cadet mentors at the Racine Police Department, our Cop House Caretaker program, which the city and county are working together to make happen at the Anthony Lane Cop House, that will last for, I believe, 8 weeks. In addition to our implementation of the TAPS Academy, that is an 11-week curriculum. We are in preliminary talks with Park High School to develop a part of, so these funds are from the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, part of their school safety and security subset. And so a part of receipt of these funds is to provide our partnering high school with a safety plan. So working with our school safety and security division, we'll hope to achieve that. And in our preliminary talks with Park High School, we're looking to identify students who are at risk and hopefully make those students at promise through this 11-week curriculum where we work on our closing that social distance between our youth and our police officers here in our community. That's all I have to say about that.
Sounds like a great program. I know we spoke about this before, and I was very happy that you were investing in the community and trying to get this youth engagement program off the ground. So thank you for your support. At this time, I'll entertain any questions or concerns. President Tate.
So it sounds like these funds would, to a degree, supplant or support funding that we're already expending in certain efforts. So really, it's just almost a cost savings to a degree, and expanding some particular efforts that we might not be able to fund right now. Is that correct?
It is. It would be a $52,000 cost savings over 2 years.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by President Tate and seconded by Alder Horton. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. On time. Woohoo.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Item number 0402-22, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason requesting approval of a resolution accepting a grant award of $250,000 from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation Community Development Investment Grant Program on behalf of Venture X Racine for redevelopment of the 440 Main Street. Staff recommendation is that the request sponsored by Mayor Mason to approve supporting the acceptance of the grant to be awarded. Fiscal note, no additional city funds will be allocated as a result of this action. Grant control number 00394. Grant does not require a local match. Assistant Director Regic is here to speak on the item.
Thank you very much. This is actually the, I guess, the successor item to a previous item that allowed us to apply for this grant, and that was item 077321, just passed on October 5th of last year. And this is, again, a community development initiative investments program out of WEDC, which is a $250,000 grant with, as the item mentioned, no local match. It's purely gap financing that we are applying for on behalf of Ventrex Racine, which is, I guess, an LLC of Mount Royal Properties, which owns the 440 Main Street building. They are in the process of redeveloping, assembling financing, and hopefully very soon redeveloping the building into a mixed-use office space that would help to reactivate that northern part of Monument Square. So with that in mind, we are requesting permission to accept the grant. We do not, as the memo states, we do not know for sure that we are getting it, but we do anticipate that could be happening at some point over the next few months. And the developer does intend to begin construction in July. So just given the timing of council and their proposed construction, I guess, plans, we wanted to ask for approval, assuming that if we are awarded the funds, there are no unexpected terms that we are not anticipating right now. We would request the ability to enter into a grant agreement for those funds to be able to use them for the project. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Reggie. Any questions or comments at this time?
Thank you. I remember the other part of it. It's a great program, but the question is, are there any terms of the grant now that you are aware of?
The funds need to be used for what we intend, what we state in the application that we're going to be using them for. And in this case, it has to be construction costs. There can't be any soft costs related to consulting fees or insurance or things like that. So barring any further limitations on eligible costs, that would be, really the only main issue that I would be aware of. There is a match as well. It's not a city match, it's a developer funded match. They need to put up at least $250,000 in light costs. It's a 1-to-1 match. Again, the city is not on the hook for it. But that's really what we're aware of. It's really a very flexible grant. We've used it in a number of different other projects, and we're really a big fan of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Pete. Any other questions at this time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Alder Horton? Okay. Moved by Alder Pete and seconded by Alder Horton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 0354-22, communication sponsored by Alder Taft on behalf of the City Attorney's Office, submitting the claim of Allstate Insurance for consideration for disallowance. Staff recommendation that the claim be disallowed. Marisa is here to speak on the item.
Please proceed.
Thank you. This claim was filed by Allstate Insurance on behalf of their insured Renee Havlich. She was alleging $7,362.14 in damages from a November 13th car accident on Duran Street involving a dump truck owned by Racine County. Because it's not a city vehicle, we have no liability, and we recommend disallowance. We've also notified the plaintiff that the city and the county are not one of the city.
Thank you. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Disallow.
Move to disallow.
Yes, thank you. Moved by
Second.
Pete, and seconded by Vice Chair West. Oh, yeah, I got her, but I'll. And seconded by the chair, Pat. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 0355-22, communication sponsored by Alder Taft on behalf of the city attorney's office submitting the claim of Alexis Maldonado for consideration for disallowance. Staff recommendation that the claim be disallowed. Fiscal notice NA. Ms. Rubric is here to speak on the item.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Alexis Maldonado claims reimbursement in the amount of $75,000 for damages that she alleges arose from a car accident involving a Racine Police Department squad car back on May 26, 2019. The city disputes both the amount of the damages claimed as well as our liability. Therefore, as such, we're recommending that the committee recommend disallowance.
All right, thank you. Any questions or concerns at this time? President, please proceed.
Is disallowance a kind of a formal piece in order to proceed with some sort of further conversation with the plaintiff?
Thank you, President Day. Any other questions or concern? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for disallowance.
Move to disallow.
Second.
Moved by President Tate, seconded by Alder Pete. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 0411-22, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason proposing that the city Racine sponsor Racine Pride Day and 5-month commemoration and celebration in partnership with the LGBT Center of Southeastern Wisconsin. Staff recommendation that June 26, 2022 be declared Racine Pride Day and that the city of Racine sponsor Racine Pride Day and Pride Month commemoration and celebration in partnership with the LGBTQ Center of Southeastern Wisconsin. I do believe that we have a public member here that would like to speak on the item.
All right, thank you. Please proceed.
Everyone. My name is Barb Farrar. I'm the Executive Director of the LGBT Center of Southeast Wisconsin. And we have a wonderful relationship with the city of Racine. And our past experience has been a really beautiful celebration of Pride Month. And what typically happens is it's like the last Sunday or second to last Sunday. People often leave from a church, come down, and we celebrate the LGBTQ community. Personal stories are shared, poems are read, music is played sometimes. It's just a really beautiful celebration. It's about an hour and a half long. We have in attendance up to about 100 people. This is a really important event for our community. And we sometimes see people come out of the woodwork for the first time. It's a great way for us to build community and to show solidarity for the city of Racine. I encourage you to approve June. And
Thank you. Questions, concerns? I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Move to approve.
We have a question first, Alder.
Oh, sorry.
So just looking at the resolution, it kind of, there's some sections referring to curtailage and shall include the city plaza. Can we get some further background as to the inclusion of this language in the resolution?
City Attorney, would you clarify that for us, please?
Sure, I wrote this resolution, as you might imagine. There has been, there are a lot of decisions from courts. Recently, primarily the United States Supreme Court discussing distinctions between public fora and what is government speech. And the courts have really given us a lot of really good guidance as to think about. So the question is, what is a public forum? Traditional public forums such as parks, sidewalks, streets, things like that, where people can express general opinions and the specific philosophy and policies that the city of Racine wants to put forward in advance. Curtilage is sort of the part of, if you think of your house, the part that you control, goes up to the sidewalk, that's it, that is where the public forum starts. You get to control what happens on your property. You don't necessarily get to control what happens on the sidewalk. And that's really the thing. So in writing this, I wanted to be clear what it is we were talking about when we say Racine City Hall. So it's the plaza, the steps, the flagpole, the grounds, the parking lot, everything up to the sidewalk, which is where the control of the city's property is. So that's the reason that's in there.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Move to approve.
All right, moved by the chair Taft and seconded by President Tate. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, everyone. Looks like we have exhausted our agenda for this afternoon. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Meeting adjourned. I'm waiting.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving for a half hour.
Guys, thank you. Good job.
See y'all at 7.